Welcome everyone, it's that time of the week.
Hey everyone, how you doing? Out on the road again, good to be here.
Welcome to Oz by Drone. This is the mobile edition for John. He's in between airports again.
You know, we were saying today 75 shows. I reckon I must have done nearly a dozen sitting in the car on the side of the road somewhere
I
over
think
the
so.
years. It's fun. So quick update. Yeah, I'm close enough to Brisbane Airport that you probably hear some jets going over. So I'm going to jump in here and say hello and then probably have to go and get on one again. So we got some great guests, though, this week, Greg. It's going to be really cool.
We've got a great guest, and we'll get into that in a little while. But just a quick little community service announcement. We are today using NBN for our internet. So hopefully, fingers crossed, nothing is going... What's that beeping? Is it the NBN dying? No, it's John.
No, that's actually not the NBN, it's the car.
Yeah, hopefully the NBN is going to hold up for us today, and you know, only time will tell. We'll see what happens. But before we do anything else, it's that time of the day where we need to get into
the news.
Starting off at the top of the news today is we're going to talk about Russia and in particular a getaway from a drone. The anti-Putin opposition politician in Russia responded to a police raid by loading hard drives onto a drone and sending the drone skywards before officers could enter his house. Separate footage later shared on his YouTube channel shows officers outside the building leading him away and putting him into an unmarked white van.
Привет, друзья! Это вот, покажи прям сюда. Это дрон с жесткими дисками, очень важными.
Now, obviously, we can't understand any of that, but thankfully we've got subtitles.
This is not going to end well for him.
But here's the really, really interesting thing about that. The YouTube video was actually corrupt. When I play it on YouTube on the platform itself, it works fine. But when I got that video down to go and share a little bit of today, the bit of him going into the unmarked van just disappeared off the end of it. So it seemed like it had been censored. And John, you there?
Hello, I'm still here. Hang on, I'm just getting myself sorted. So,
okay.
Yeah, look, one of these things, I suppose, again, we've been reminded lately about be mindful where you fly, particularly when you're overseas. There are some countries that are getting very, very nervous about drones flying around these days, whether you're doing it recreationally, harmlessly, or whatever. Just be careful out there. If you don't want to get taken off in a white van in any country, really. They do that in America too. You know, I've seen that on telly.
Yeah, but what was interesting about this one? What was interesting about this one was he was the equivalent of the opposition leader. I understand he was an opposition person to Putin. So it's like saying Bill Shorten was about to get raided. Not that we think that there's anything there, but just imagine. And he goes and put his hard drive on a drone, and the next thing you know, he gets taken away in a white van. So
yeah, there you go.
While we don't encourage people to go and fly over crowds and all of those kind of things, I think it was a smart use of a drone to go and get that. And I did hear on the story that he did successfully get that material somewhere else. So I don't know what was on it, but interesting use of a drone nonetheless.
Yeah, absolutely.
So next story, DJI have unveiled 2 new payloads for the M200 series of drone, a methane gas detector and a bright spotlight. The methane detector enables rapid identification of methane from up to 100 meters away, while the spotlight has a maximum power of 48 watts and an operating range of up to 150 meters. Yeah. Suggested applications would be for nighttime or low light missions across various industry verticals, including firefighting, emergency response and law enforcement.
Well, that's pretty interesting. I mean, I can imagine some uses, of course, industrial uses for it. You wouldn't need a methane detector at our house, on yours too, apparently. But moving on from that point, the spotlight one is really, really handy. And we've been experimenting with spotlights on various aircraft over the past 12 months. And it's amazing what you can light up now, just because we've got LED lighting. I mean, the Mavic Enterprise, has a reasonably good spotlight. You can certainly sling anything underneath it. The cube, of course, the loom cube, still has plenty of grunt to sling under an aircraft. You put a couple of those under there, and you've just got to be careful. If you go off using it in the dark, that you can be very tempted and get caught because your field of vision's quite limited under the spotlight. But it's that we're going to see more and more heavy spotlight usage and one of the things that I noted when we went to the last arena meetings with search and rescue people was that the helicopters that aren't equipped with night vision goggles or were restricted in some search areas, using a UAS is the only type of searching that you can do at night, and that can be the difference when you're in an operation doing a search and rescue, is that you can get airborne and you can light areas, you can help search personnel. So we're going to see more and more of this sort of stuff. Good stuff, DJI. Probably just answering to the market there, I'd say. Yeah. Anyway,
but speaking of loom cubes, just out of interest, so Ken, as for those who may have heard about it, has been doing what he calls a disco drone experiment, where he's put as many loom cubes on his drone as he could possibly fit on, I think. So look out for that video coming soon.
Yeah, that sounds like Ken.
Next topic. Someone mentioned a few moments ago about methane and the explosive properties of that. So moving on to the next topic, a Northampton County man is looking into a plea agreement after federal prosecutors accused him of dropping explosives on an ex-girlfriend.
Charles Carcion's surveillance cameras captured one of several explosions that rattled him and his neighbors in Washington Township this spring and summer. Carcion and neighbors believed whoever was behind the explosions used a drone to drop explosives and other material.
And the one day I was right around here in the driveway doing something. All of a sudden, I heard them. It rained nails. They came out of the sky. They dropped down from the sky. Nobody was around. Nobody went by and threw them. They dropped from the sky.
Prosecutors now say that Jason Musicato was dropping explosive devices from a drone on his ex-girlfriend's property. Musicato is not directly charged with detonating explosives or the series of blasts that rocked the township, but he is charged with knowingly operating an aircraft without registration. His attorney says it was a drone, which the feds now have. Musicato was also charged with illegally having weapons. He was not allowed to have them because of a protection from abuse order. Investigators say they found improvised explosives and 9 guns when they raided his home.
Everything's been quiet since his arrest.
Carcion says he had suspicions.
So we'll leave that there. We don't need to hear the rest of it. But
I did have a conversation with...
Yeah, I think there's enough there to work out what's going on.
Yeah. Look, the interesting thing is the timing.
Not doing us much favours at all.
Yeah, look, the interesting thing is the timing. Yeah. Apparently this happened in June, but it's only just hitting court right now. And that seems to coincide with that exact time when the FAA was going and making the announcements about don't weaponize your drone shortly thereafter.
Yeah, no, exactly. Well, that changes the rules. Oh, sorry.
Whoopsie.
I'm gone. Am I still here? Yes, I am.
Have you got your phone on blue tack or something? Oops, we've lost John. I'll move on to the next story while he catches up or drops off, one or the other. Let's go on to the next story, and this is rather frustratingly a story that John wanted to have some input into, but let's go with it anyway. CASA has provided details of their RPAS digital platform, with vendors being invited to develop drone safety mobile and web-based apps. Let's just put that picture of the CASA logo up there. Is that not working either? There we go. Rather than have a question mark, I thought we'd have something else there. The platform provides a central source of data which currently includes RPA-related advisories, rules and regulatory information. In the future, the RPAS digital platform will expand to include a range of other services, including registration, pilot accreditation, authorization, and automated approval, kind of like the LANT system in the US for restricted areas. And they're also planning for the future of an RPA traffic management system with all of this platform. So John's thing that he was going to talk about, if he was here, and sorry about that, the internet, let's put Lloyd into John's shot while I'm chatting about this. I'll get my producer to go and do that. The interesting thing is registration. We're hearing rumours that registration is going to be in place by about November. That's the approximate time frame when that's going to start happening. So they're getting all of their frameworks and their tools ready for that to happen at the moment. So anyway, that's the story. Now let's see, is Lloyd there? Can we get him up? Still doing it. I can't see it over there. He's coming in a minute. You can't keep a good Lloyd down.
There we go.
Hey, Lloyd.
Hey, how you doing? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. So Lloyd was here for two reasons today. One as a kind of a backup because we knew John was out and about again. And also he's doing our comments down below. So if you've got anything to say, make sure Lloyd likes it. Anyway.
Well, there is one little thing.
Yeah.
The YouTube part of the chat quit working.
Oh, so there's no YouTube stuff. So everybody, if you want to get something on screen, your comment, make sure you tweet it out. Put in the @OzByDrone in there as well, and we'll put that up on the screen for you. Anyway, moving on from that, Jetcopter is seeking an initial investment of about $6 million and a total investment of $60 million to begin production of their new VTOL. Now, I was going to cut the audio out of that video, and I think I forgot to do it, but let's play it anyway. There we go. So this is just a mock-up of their vertical takeoff aircraft. And yeah, they're after $60 million to go and commercialize that. Looks good. Would you ride it? Just looking at the animation, that one looks pretty cool.
Yeah, I'd ride that one. Didn't look like there's a lot to it, but yeah, I'd ride it.
Yeah. Let's move on. Very brief one there. I'm trying to keep the news nice and short today. The next one. We spoke earlier about jamming, and in particular about jamming at Heathrow Airport. So, John's back.
John's back.
Let's put him back in while let's do the jamming story, and we'll talk to John in a couple of moments. So, Drone Evolution have launched their new patented rotary UAV protection technology at DSEI 2019 named SafeFlight. The system protects delivery drones from being jammed, and its titanium shell protects it from a variety of external forces using a range of navigation systems. So think using GPS and also using cameras. SafeFlight will switch between them if it comes under attack. Are you there, John?
I'm here.
I have your audio and we're working on your picture, so we'll get you there very shortly. There we are.
Yeah.
So yeah, SafeFlight, I think. So SafeFlight, I think it's an interesting concept. The principle is use as many different systems to, in parallel, understand your location, your positioning, and they're trying to make a system that's going to be resilient to attack, so you won't be able to jam it. This would have been an interesting one for those people at Heathrow to have. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, this is going to be the thing that shores up moving forward in terms of accountability and, you know, the responsibility. You can't put just absolutely millions and millions of dollars into a system that's not going to be secure, not going to deliver in that way. So it's just one of the technology hurdles to jump over. I see it as one of the things they have on a long list in terms of delivery drones and how they're going to work in the future. You know, the actual logistics itself of the aircraft, what it's going to carry, how it's going to navigate and all that thing is just part of it in terms of the bigger picture of a wide-scale delivery system.
Yeah. The other interesting thing I saw, can we put that photo back on the screen again for a minute? Let's do that. The interesting thing I saw with that is that they're making part of the frame out of titanium. I don't know. Titanium is meant to be a lightweight metal. Yep. This is 1.06.
No, it's a pretty good material to build aircraft components out of. You know, it's basically because of its weight. You know, mostly because of its weight. It's a very, very light alloy.
Yeah. But in terms of a drone, is it going to be lighter than carbon fiber equivalents?
No, not necessarily. But if you're going to build something that you're going to fly for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours, You know, there are parts that should be made out of titanium and parts that should be made out of carbon. You know, it's going to be a composite aircraft basically.
Yeah.
There sometimes, particularly in where components are joined together, titanium does a much better job of sleeving with carbon rather than carbon on carbon. They don't necessarily bond well, and depending on, you know, the type of what you're dealing with. Fixed wing airframes are very different to multi-rotors, of course.
Yeah. Okay, we've got a couple more stories. Let's just quickly get through them. Nearly $34 million in grants were approved at the SOAR Summit in Pikeville, including $1.5 million for the USA drone port.
And sleep. Nearly $34 million in grants were announced at the SOAR Summit this year, including $1.5
Oh, what happened
I'm
there?
Steve Hensley. Nearly $34 million in grants were announced at the SOAR Summit this year, including $1.5 million for the USA drone port. WYMT's Madison program tells us how they're going to use that money.
It is that sound that fills the air on a normal day at the USA drone port.
We know that one of the missions we've had for years that we've been working on is going to be able to be completed.
A mission more likely to reach completion with the help of a $1.5 million grant.
Well, I was excited, to say the least.
Allowing for a 400-foot expansion of the runway, a new hangar, and a unique 10,000 square foot indoor research and development space.
Indoor flight facility for people to be able to bring ideas and test them in there.
A facility allowing ideas and research take off to new heights.
Even though they can't in their space with FAA regulations necessarily, they can in there and hopefully get those approved.
So I'm just going to fade that out for a minute. Something during the show just now, the audio to our guests appears to have failed at this point, so apologies that you can't hear. I tell you what I'm going to get my producer to do. Can you hear me first of all, John?
I can.
Okay, so here's what we're going to do. In the middle of the rendezvous dashboard, I'll get my producer to just quickly turn the live output off and then back on and see if that fixes it.
Where the sky is the limit. In Perry County, Madison Program, WYMT Mountain News.
Did that fix it at all, John?
Massey says he hopes to have construction begin sometime in the spring.
So we have a small Wirecast bug today where the audio somehow is not getting routed to you. It's still going live to air, but that's fine. Let's press on. Well, since you didn't hear that, we can't really talk about it too much, but our next story, as drone manufacturing giant DJI is often compared to Apple, open source drones are frequently compared to Android. And Sartori, the person in the picture there, points out that Android is based on open source Linux, and as more than 87% of phones are now Android, that makes sense for it to be the most used software in the world. So this guy, Kevin Sartori, he's the co-founder of Auterion, and he's an ambassador for open source software for drones. And he says the drone industry is going through a transformation. And the big thing that he's talking about is what's called software-defined drones. I find this absolutely incredible. This is going to be, you know, as big as the Model T Ford going into industrialization back when that first happened.
Yep.
In the networking space, there's this thing called software-defined networking, where you've got a router talking to a cloud controller, and the router just has the API. I think what's going to happen next is that someone will come up with an open source API to talk to drones, whether they be a DJI one or another one, and that's going to be the common interface, and we'll then see a lot more innovation in the software space.
I think you're quite right there. One of the things that has gone right across the robotics world is that it's more or less unwritten, but robotics engineers share everything. And this was just sort of something that I was very proud came from an originally Australian aviation guy who believed that we should, you know, share. Sir Lawrence Hargrave believed people in aviation should share everything, and he did that. He wrote a lot of papers, which were read by people like the Wright brothers and so forth. We're talking about the beginnings of flight, and in the robotics world, this is what happens now. Now, Greg, just to backtrack a bit about DJI and Apple. Am I right in suggesting that DJI under the hood use a lot of open-ended software that they've sort of just gathered and pieced together. I mean, that's what I understand. So
DJI are using a lot of open source components, and they actually got caught with their hands in the cookie jar when researchers reverse engineered and found all of these components, and there were actual cases of the original owners of that software making legal demands on DJI. So DJI wasn't expecting that. But having said that, I've got a view that some of their code, their secret source, as long as it's not using open source components, keep it closed, but expose the API, expose the interface. And that's where we're going to get a lot of innovation. And it shouldn't just be the existing DJI interface. There's got to be a common standard that someone's going to develop that's going to work across all drone platforms.
Or how would you comment about their SDK? Because that opens up DJI aircraft to a lot of developers to do
it does,
things.
It does, but it's very specific. It's their SDK. There needs to be an abstraction layer that sits on top of that that's going to be less restrictive. So, for example, DJI limits you in certain things of what you can and can't do. You need an API that's going to be less restrictive that people can innovate with. And if DJI blocks it at another layer, well, that's another story, but you need an open SDK.
Yeah, moving on. Moving on. I mean, there's a whole nother subject there. I'll just make a point though. You're, likening it to the Model T Ford. I don't think that that's too incorrect because, we all know these things are flying software. That's what they are. This is where it all starts and ends, really. The hardware itself is very, very simple. But even, of course, the speed controllers themselves are all software based, and what they do, all of the magic comes down to software. So I think that any major innovation in software thinking is going to flow right through to the aircraft directly. That's for sure.
Yeah, got a couple more quick stories. Let's knock them out. An international team of scientists and healthcare workers have completed a drone insulin delivery using to a remote island. So let's have a look at that.
Exciting project for us.
Dr. Spiridula Maraca and her team changed the game Friday on how medicine is given to patients. The mission was complex, but the components were simple: a drone and insulin.
My role in this as an expert in healthcare delivery research was to give input about the different kind of issues that arise when we talk about healthcare delivery.
The idea was born a year ago following severe weather that hit Ireland.
It prevented a lot of patients to have access to their medical care, and that got us thinking, like, what can we do in emergency situations where our patients cannot have access to their medications?
The team began preparing for what would be the world's first autonomous drone flight across the North Atlantic Ocean. The drone took off with life-saving diabetes medication and flew 20 minutes from Ireland to the Aran Islands.
I think this is a big milestone in terms of improving healthcare delivery in the future. The drone technology has limitless capabilities to help us improve the care we deliver to our patients.
Yeah, so again, John, apologies that you couldn't hear the audio for that, but our guests watching on YouTube could hear it. Hopefully we'll get that sorted out in the near future. But essentially, insulin delivery to a remote island by drone, a really great use of drones. I don't think there's any doubt about that one. Oops, have I lost John's audio?
Are good, there we go. And I think those countries like Vanuatu are pushing it. So let's move on.
Yeah, let's move on. Next one.
Speaking
of drugs.
That's all right. Let's move on because I'm going to get out of here in a minute.
I'm going to be very quick. We've only got a couple of stories left. Camouflage cannabis farm, speaking of drugs, was discovered by police thanks to some nifty drone work. Following a tip-off, pilots from the Met Police's specialist drone team searched an area of disused land near Berrylands railway station over in the UK. And you can see what they found there. So another use of drones and drugs together, but not dropping them into prisons, thankfully. I tell you what, I'm going to skip the next story and go straight to our last one. Let's go to 1.12. And this one is just a fun story. Let's just play the video. keep watching. And we've got some fish there, and we've got someone who's dived in after it. And you can actually even hear the beep of the drone trying to talk. Are you still there, John? No, let's take John's feed out and we'll put Lloyd back in. Okay, there we go, Lloydie. We've got you back, but the audio's coming, so give us a few moments. Okay, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Awesome. What do you think of that one?
I thought Above and Beyond Drones Rise, new underwater view. Yeah, I like that. The new underwater DJI drone.
Well, that wasn't a DJI one. That was an FPV drone, as you could probably tell from the beginning. And Andre Larsen from Norway captured this one. And the title of the clip is Droning to Drowning.
Oh, by the way, the YouTube thing is working again. So
the YouTube chat is working again. Awesome. But if anyone does want to send something up on Twitter, we can absolutely do that. But for now, that's the end of the news. And that was a cue to my producer to press that button.
So there will be no news from now on.
And there will be no news from now on, indeed. We move into the news-free zone. And we'll bring in our guest. Let's go to... Our guest today is Russ Ward. Welcome, Russ.
How's it going, everybody?
Oh, there we go. We've killed the music. That's better.
I thought that was me on helium for a second.
No, that's not you. So, Russ, what did you think of that? What did you think of that underwater clip there?
Oh, I love the fish at the end. That's my favorite. The fact it looked like the guy was trying to pull up a little bit too late and wasn't thinking about the fact that his friend was just about to perform the largest belly flop ever. It wasn't a graceful dive into the water, that's for sure. But
yeah, it wasn't a graceful dive.
I can't believe that the camera kept going that long, though.
I've never seen anything like that before ever underwater. When I first saw the clip, I thought it was faked. I really did. But apparently it's legit.
It has to be like a GoPro that's waterproof or something like that they put on top of, because it's an FPV drone. They're not using like an internal or an actual camera that came with the drone. It has to be a GoPro or something.
Yeah, I'd say so. So anyway, let's do a bit of introduction. We've got our guest today, Russ Ward, and your channel is Droning About NorthWest. Tell me about yourself very briefly. How'd you get into drones and what do you do with them?
So my first drone that I ever got was actually just a $30 gift from my wife, and I never expressed any interest in drones whatsoever before she got that for me. She knew that I was really interested in. I think that's her phone ringing in the background. She knew that I liked doing different stuff, and so she got me this drone, and I loved it ever since then. That was about 5 years ago. I've been flying. And of course, the first thing I had to do with my new drone, like everybody else that flies, is I had to get it on the neighbor's 2-story roof and discover how to get it down.
Okay, and since then, you enjoy it for fun and recreation. You're also doing some commercial work with it?
Absolutely, yeah. So really just all fun and recreation for the first, until right around this time last year, actually. It was last October when I got my commercial license, but just fun recreation. And then about a year and a half ago or so, I started my channel, putting more of my videos out there. And now I do commercial work. I've done a lot of real estate. I've done some weddings. The weddings are interesting. You always get somebody who doesn't want you flying at their event facility, and then you always get some people who want weird things filmed with a drone. Yeah, it's been fun. It's been a lot of fun. I think the weirdest thing that I've filmed at a wedding is the bride and groom trying to run together with a large underwear attached to both of their heads, trying to run together. That they wanted that on their film. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what I say. They have weird things that they want filmed, I guess, sometimes.
Okay, so you also we had a look at a video before with a drone going underwater. Now you had what I would describe as a near miss that potentially would let you go underwater with some birds.
Yeah, absolutely. It was near a dam, actually, which means you don't go back in that water to get the drone out either. It's just gone.
Yeah, let's just have a little peek at that. So beautiful, beautiful shot. And then a few moments later, there goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, I can't count them.
Hundreds. The ones that get in the way of the camera are like less than 1/10 of the birds flying around these cliffs. And in this video, I was trying some different things with some zooming out while zooming in on the post. But I also was trying some things of getting close to some trees and different things. And Matthias Allring, right?
I do. And I was going to ask you that. I was watching some of this and thinking, oh, you've been watching Matthias.
Yeah, right here. Right here. That was all Matthias, 100% inspired by him. None of my own ingenuity or anything coming up with this. It was, I flew over it first, right? It's coming up right there. That part right there that I flew over, I was about 5 feet from it. I had to turn my obstacle avoidance off, and I flew over it once before. Maybe I didn't do a full Matthias, but I was like, okay, so I got to be at least this high to get over it. And that's how I did it. Same with that one right there. So yeah, I was playing around with some Matthias Allring stuff around a dam of raging water. It's really smart to do.
Yeah, it looks beautiful. So what else have we got from you?
What was that?
What else have we got from you? We've got one more clip where you've been doing some stuff out in the snow.
Oh, yeah. Where
was that? Where was that?
Probably out by the cabin. My parents own a cabin out on a river kind of northeast of here. And if it's the one that, that one. Oh, I'm sorry. I was thinking of a different, this is a mountain that's actually named after my great-great-great-grandfather. He did surveying, and it's in the state of Colorado. And this mountain that you can kind of see coming up in the clip here in a little bit is actually 13,402 feet high, and it's actually named after him. So a bunch of my family, that part that's flat, kind of right in the center there, is what's the mountain peak. But it's actually named after him. We hike about every 7 years. It was rough this year because they got a record amount of snowfall up there.
It was certainly a catchy thumbnail for the video. How to fly your drone at 13,200 and whatever feet it was.
Yeah. The only thing is I was flying at 13,500 feet and only like 150
above sea level,
feet
but only, yeah. But beautiful, beautiful scenery. So what drones have you got? What aircraft do you fly?
I've got the Mavic Air is the one I fly a lot. Then I've got a couple Hubsons. I've got some just toy goof around drones. And I'm actually kind of really looking, my next drone that I'm looking at doing that, the DJI Mini, because it's going to supersede some of the regulations that you have to do here in the United States. So,
yeah. Has that been announced yet, or it's still vaporware until we see it?
I don't know. When it comes out, then I'll worry about it. It's kind of what I've been thinking. But that's just one of the things I've been thinking about. And Lloyd was asking me what the name of the mountain is. It's actually called Mount Roda. It's in the San Juan Mountains, and Roda is spelled RHODA.
Okay, I know where that's at.
Yeah.
Okay.
I grew up in Colorado.
Awesome.
Some very, very beautiful footage. So you started with those. You're going to go and get this new DJI Mini to try and avoid the regulations. And I feel almost guilty saying you want to avoid the regulations because it's not what we actually want to do.
Correct. Yeah, it's not what I want to do. It's more just, it's like, especially with some of the flying that I do commercially and stuff, especially, it's there's regulations that make sometimes the Lance system makes things easier here, I guess. But there was times where you would try to call a tower or something to get permission to fly in this area, that area, and all that stuff. And if they say no, don't get to do the photos for your client. So this one being a 4K drone that still has 12 megapixel images will still be more than capable of doing that stuff. And most of the time when you're doing commercial work, you're not flying more than 70 feet above because you want to get a good picture. So
yeah. So Mark B, the drone ranger, has said, according to the new rules, the only law that doesn't apply is registration. I'd like to actually challenge that because the existing laws define what you can and can't do with sub 250s compared to other drones. So you can fly a sub 250 in places that you couldn't fly an above 250 gram drone.
Yeah.
The thing is he is right and wrong because I think the legislation, and this is United States, of course, but I think the legislation that is out there right now, there's some places where it says sub 250 doesn't apply for this, but then there's places where they say any drone that's in the air applies for. So it's really, there's going to be more stuff that's going to have to come out. And of course, what's going to happen is this is a sub 250 drone, and they're just going to make a regulation that goes lower than that if it starts causing issues. That's the thing. If nobody's causing issues with it, they won't have a problem. If people do, then they might. So
yeah, it's interesting you mentioned that with the FAA discussion earlier today. I was chatting to John before the show, and there was a publication from CASA, our equivalent of the FAA. And in that publication, I changed that, my bad. In that publication, CASA, the head of CASA, I can't remember his first name, Carmody, was basically saying, at the end of the day, you've got policy drives regulations. Regulations are what you got to do, but have some common sense about it. Safety is the outcome we all want. So they were telling their own examiners to use a little bit of common sense in how they apply it. And I think that's a good approach.
Yeah, common sense is a good approach to about 99% of the things out there, not just drones. I mean, there's a lot of things that can be just completely solved with common sense. And there's times where I don't use it because, like, for example, when I'm riding on my daughter's little hoverboard Segway thing while talking to other people on YouTube and stuff, that's common sense not being used. But I do, I like to goof around a lot and stuff, and I do some of that stuff anyways. But
okay, so we put your channel link into Nightbot. He's going and telling people about that. Do go and check out Russell's channel. Had some really cool stuff there. If someone could also share his other channel, there's a new one that you're doing at the moment, a family channel as well. Yeah,
I should be able to find that and type it in there in a second here. But I'm doing a family channel with the wife. And the thing is I'm still incorporating drone stuff into that channel. A lot of times if we're, it's a family channel thing. So if we're going to go do something, at our cabin or doing this or doing that or whatever, I like to do a little bit of flying also and kind of make it some of the B-roll of, and it works out really well. Really well.
I got one more quick question for you. What's the most regulatory challenging thing that you've shot or done in terms of getting approvals to do something unusual?
The first wedding I ever did, easily. It was at this winery place that is kind of on a hill bluff. And so when you're talking about your height, it's all, as far as regulations go, above ground level. But the thing is this bluff is about 300 feet above valley level, and then I can fly 400 feet above ground level, but they have planes coming into this airport that's only about 2 miles away. Now, they're supposed to be way out of my range, but the Lance system was not quite working yet. And the towers were thinking that the Lance system was supposed to be working. So it was really hard to get permission to fly there. Not to mention, the place didn't want people flying their drones around there because they had had people get in trouble with the airport before. And so they were trying to tell me, well, you can't fly here because of the airport. And I had to provide to them that I had permission and all this stuff. But that was the hardest thing to do. I mean, it took me 3-4 weeks before even going there and doing the wedding filming, calling in the tower and making sure that I had the right number and making sure I had the right people to get a hold of and all this other stuff. And then on the day of, calling the tower and doing the Lance system, trying to do both of them so I had my T's crossed and I's dotted on both sides. And then, dealing with the people at the facility also, people who knew that we weren't supposed to fly drones but didn't know that I had already talked with the owner of the place. So that was probably my toughest.
Okay, well, we're
ladies and gentlemen, boys and
now.
girls, it's time to play Stump the Yank.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's time to have some fun with our guest. It's that game that you love and our guests hate because we make them look as stupid as we possibly can. It's time to play Stump the Yank. Now, I'm trying to find my fader for that thing over there, but it's not working, so I'll get my producer to go and fade that out for me. Whoops. Oh! That wasn't what I was after. But anyway, it's okay. So, I've got a question or two for you. Question number 1, and this is an easy one, hopefully. What is the Aussie salute?
Oh, gosh. What is the Aussie salute? I don't know.
Come on, think of something. Salute? Think of something. Think of an Australian. What would an Australian be doing?
Could I make?
No.
Oh, no. I don't know. I know about...
Let's put Lloyd on screen. Lloyd, are you there?
Help me out here. I'm here. Save me.
Lloyd, save him. What is the Aussie salute? Brushing away flies.
Hey, I do that up here. I just didn't know.
Yeah, but we have flies that'll kill you if you don't brush them away. They're that big.
That's right.
Those flies have got to get permission from the ATC to go and take off before they come near you. They're that big. Second question for you. What is the big smoke?
Oh, man.
What is the big smoke?
I would say it's probably something that's legal in a few states here, maybe. In the United States, probably I would think it's either like marijuana or something. I don't know.
No. The big smoke is actually a city, whether it be Sydney, whether it be Melbourne. So someone who lives out of the city would say, oh, we're going up to Big Smoke, you know?
Gotcha. I do know about drop bears. I know that whole
drop bears. Yeah.
Drop bears. You probably have
I'm
heard
very
that.
familiar. I'm very familiar. I've shared the stories about drop bears with Ken. Did you hear about the recent killer magpies?
No, but I wouldn't doubt it. Those things are terrible birds.
Magpies. Well, some people get killed by magpies. There was a guy who was, I think he was on a cycle, and a magpie went and swooped him, and the next thing you know, he's on his bicycle and fell over the edge of a cliff and died. What was the other one? There was another one where a magpie was attacking a drone, but, we've all seen birds attacking drones. But, magpies, Australian birds. Look, those are our 2 quick little fun questions for you. It's been fun having you joining us today, and love to have you back some other time.
Absolutely. Anytime. Just let me know.
Okay. Thanks again, Lloyd. Back to you in the studio, and we're going to move on. What's happening with you? Since you weren't here at the beginning of the show, what have you been up to?
Actually, I've been playing with my new toy here. I've got the... I don't know if I can bring it around here without making a mess or not, but I've been playing with my new Elgato Stream Deck, the XL size. And, Other than that, just trying to stay out of trouble.
Well, for you, that'd be difficult.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But yeah,
Okay.
That's about it, man. We talk enough that, nothing new going on here. Just keeping up with my vlogs and trying to keep my show running and make it better each week.
So what we're going to do now, I'm going to start FPV Korner and have a look at that video for today. And halfway through it, I'm going to disappear. I've just got an allergy that's really itching my nose today. It's very bad. I'm going to go and get something to put on it. But for the moment, let's have a look at this week's clip. And this one comes from Pinky FPV. This one, he's using a quad to chase an RC fixed wing. Some exceptional flying from both pilots. Just noting the colour of the grass and also the green strip that you'll see in the middle of the oval there. That one's for playing cricket, in case you're wondering.
Cricket, okay. Yeah, we play that a lot here.
Yeah.
Not.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll be back in a moment. I'm just going to get something for my allergies, but you two have a little chat there. We can put your audio up as well, Russ. Let's put that back on so he can have a comment about this one as well. Back in a sec.
Yeah, that looks more like a runway, doesn't it? Wouldn't that be
does.
You would think of runway? It looks like a runway?
Well, it'd make a good runway for this fixed wing anyways, you know?
Yeah,
oh, look at that. Oh, there he goes. See? He almost did it too, yeah.
I can't believe how well this guy is not overpowering the plane in speed. Because those FPV drones,
I know. They're fast. Yeah, and that plane there, that's a small plane, so it's going to fly slow. You know, I mean, it's going to be half the speed of an FPV drone. Oh, look at that. He's flying inverted.
Holy Lord. That's close.
Oh, yeah.
Because just looking at, if you look at the horizon when he's up in the air, that camera is a very wide-angled camera. So he's 3 times closer than what that looks like.
Yeah. Now, you fly FPV, right?
On a simulator. Does that count?
On a simulator? Okay.
No, I don't have an FPV drone. I don't have an FPV drone, but
okay.
These days I might. You never know.
Yeah. I keep thinking I want to try. Look at that, man. A touch and go.
Yeah. My kid is going crazy behind me.
I hear that.
Did you notice the bird in there as well? There's actually a magpie in there as well.
The killer magpie. Fresh off of its defeat of the man on motorcycle.
What is that noise?
That's my son cracking up to something that my wife is teasing him.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
It's contagious.
He's going crazy.
Pink art says the green strip is usually AstroTurf or fake grass. Okay.
Not in Australia, sunshine.
Oh, okay. Well, we
have groundsmen and groundskeepers who do it properly.
Now it's 4 points is the max you can get on cricket, right?
Sorry, what?
I think is it 4 points is the max you can get on a play in cricket or something like that?
No, you can get 6.
Is it 6? Okay, 6. All right.
6 is knocking it out of the park, and that laughter is contagious.
It is, isn't it?
I don't know when he's going to stop it. If he doesn't for the next few minutes, he'll definitely sleep well.
Oh, absolutely.
That's the point.
I think he's hitting a few 6s out of the park at the moment. But speaking of which, the final scores in the game that's being played here: fixed wing 0, the quad 0, and the magpie scored 1.
There we go. One for proper FPV bombing, photo bombing.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And is it magpies that are protected down there in Australia?
They are.
What a bloody nuisance.
They're you can't shoot them here either.
Really?
Yeah, not in my state at least, in Idaho.
Oh, you're in Idaho. Why did I think you were in Oregon?
I don't know. There's probably more stuff protected there.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, because, yeah, definitely. Yeah. All those tree huggers up there. I'm sorry, did I say that out loud?
But yeah, no, you can't, no magpies, no seagulls. Nothing like that. You can't do anything to those two birds here.
Can I just say that was some of the best, most incredible FPV flying I've seen in a while. So
it is. And while you were getting your allergy stuff, that one part where the plane is inverted and that pilot can't be more than a few feet away from that thing. Just perfect picture, keeping it in the focus the whole time.
Oh yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, and just again, this comes from Pinky FPV, is the person who created that one. So do go to the channel description for this particular week's show and click on that. Go to Pinky's channel, let them know we sent you along, and tell him what an awesome pilot he is. So here's what we're going to do. We've got a little bit of time left. Russ, you can chuff off, or you can stay in the background, whatever you like. We're going to move on with a few things. First of all, I'm going to give a few quick channel announcements. We'll kill your audio for a while, though, I think, but you can stay if you like. Okay, few channel announcements. Number one, if you would like to send us anything, view a video or news or anything you'd like at all, upload at gregkuhnert.com, send it in there. If there is anything, this is the most important thing that I ask everyone to do every week. Go on to your social media platform and let them know that you're watching our show. Invite your friends, send them along as well. We could really do with a little bit of extra help along the way. And last but not least, if you'd like to send anything to us physically, 5/127 Princess Highway, Sylvania, New South Wales, 2224. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to play a little bit of Ask the Oracle. Now, this is something that we've done a few times, and Lloyd wasn't prepared for it. So it's going to be as simple as this. Yeah, I know. It's as simple as this. Ask Lloyd any question. It's like truth or dare, but without the dare. He can answer anything. He's the oracle of all wisdom, and he's full of answers to questions.
Yeah, I'm full of something.
So I'm just going to go and pull up the chat and see what's coming in. Colin going crazy. Geeks Varner, you're in here as well. Birds Attack, Green Strippers, AstroTurf. Well, yeah, we saw that one before. Any questions for Lloyd, the grumpy vlogger? What we'll do, we'll answer those questions as we go through Explore Australia, the last part of the show. So we're going to play the video, questions will come in, and we'll see how we go with answering some of them. So without further ado, it's time for Explore Australia. And this first clip comes from Simon's Simonology, and it's entitled Ruined Castle. Aerial drone footage from this week's epic hike for him to the ruined castle. These are natural rock formations in the Blue Mountains. The conditions were super windy on that day, so he waited for 2 hours in the hope that it would calm down a bit, and it did at the right moment during the golden hour before sunset. Shot with Mavic Air.
First question came up.
First question. What was the first question? Brett Nunley wants to know, what have I got in my pocket, Lloyd? Lloyd, the answer is?
Only his imagination.
Your imagination is in your pocket. Good answer. Second question. Should I buy a refurbished Inspire 2 or wait for the Phantom 5 next-gen DJI drone? I want a mechanical shutter drone.
I would get the refurbished Inspire 2 because I don't see anything coming out with the next generation Phantom 5. So just my opinion. I'd go with Inspire 2 because you can get that now, especially a refurbished one. And right now,
the second clip, I'll just quickly interrupt. This is from Matt Northeast. Wyeralong Dam, shot with a Mavic Pro. Short trip to the lovely Wyeralong Dam near Bow Desert here in Queensland. Once in the air, it's surprisingly beautiful area full of lots of different shapes of land and crystal blue waters, he says about that particular shot. And definitely crystal blue, beautiful, beautiful colours there.
Okay, to answer Russ's question, she's allowed you to choose your side. Well, it's real simple.
Hang on. Put the question. Hang on. Question first.
Okay. She Droning About Northwest wants to know which side of the bed is best. Wife has allowed me to choose which side for our new bed. It's real simple. The side she doesn't get into.
Okay, that works. There's this term that I use frequently. It's called swambo. You know about swambo? Do you know about that one?
I can't say that I do.
Okay, the first letter of each of these words. She who must be obeyed.
Ah, yes.
It's her decision.
It's her decision. Happy
Comment
wife,
from
happy
Dan.
wife.
Yeah, comment from Dan. This is the 4th time that he's subscribed to the channel, and YouTube keeps on unsubscribing him and turning off notifications. That is really, really frustrating. We'll come back to that in a minute. Roscoe's Drone Zone, Mount Kuhnert, Glasshouse Mountains, filmed with a drone. I'm not going to mention the name and see if people can tell me what drone it is. So this was a quick flight using that drone on a cold and blustery morning. Mount Kuhnert is part of the picturesque Glasshouse Mountains in Queensland, Australia, about 70 k's north of the city of Brisbane. This is renowned for commercial pine plantations, pineapple, macadamia and strawberry farming. So, what's the drone? See if you can work out what the drone is. This is something we do a couple of times when we're doing Explore Australia. And I ask it particularly when it's not a Phantom or something that you would normally necessarily pick. So, what's the drone? Pick the drone.
And a nappy?
It's not an Anafi.
Okay. Oh. It's a, what is it? The Kelly Green flies.
No, it's not a Karma.
Karma, that was it. Yeah, it's not a Karma. Okay. He's going to be so disappointed.
It's not a Spark. It's not a Bebop. And by the way, Drone Worship, you need to poop, but you can't. My wife's gone out to poop right now, but that's another story. She'll be back. Droning About Northwest, it's an Autel Evo. You are absolutely correct. Sorry, your mic is still muted because my producer's not here, but you win absolutely nothing. He did shoot it in D-Log, but anyway, moving on. Skyview VP is our next one. This is from Western Australia. He's using a DJI Mavic 2 Pro, and this video shot by Tosif Pathan is the pilot who was doing the flying there.
Say that 3 times real fast.
Yeah, I know. I tell you what, just I say it each and every week, but do me a favor, go to these channels. The links are in the description. Go and click on them. Go and let people know that you saw them over here on Oz by Drone, and they'll appreciate that, I'm sure. So have we got any other questions for the Oracle?
No, I think we've, I think they ran out because I think they figured out I wasn't going to give them a straight up answer.
Well,
but that's what oracles do. That's what oracles do. Well, no, I gave the guy a straight up answer about waiting for the Phantom 5. I don't really, because I've tried to find the clip, but there was a clip done at NES at the beginning of 2019 in which they said that a spokesperson from DJI said that they would not be focusing on consumer drones this year, which means, you know, they might do a Phantom 5 next year, but from what I understand, it's pretty well, you know, the Phantom 5 is either going to be the the Spark 2 or whatever it is they're talking about that Russ is hoping to see, or it's going to be one of the it's going to be another version of the Mavic, Mavic 3, 4, 5 or whatever. I don't think they're going to go back to that base. So if you want that kind of a drone, you're going to have to go with the Inspire or up.
Yeah. Let's just quickly go on. Andrew Comerford. This is filmed in the Albury-Wodonga area. Filmed with a Phantom 4 and also with a Mavic 2 Pro. Mount Bogong, Sugar Pines and the Tumbarumba Lake. Shot at Kerriford, Beechworth, Mount Stanley. Just reading the question above and beyond drones is saying that someone said that the Phantom 5 was coming out a year ago. So ask the Oracle, when is the Phantom 5 coming out?
Ask me next year. Right now it's just kind of fuzzy, so I'm not really, I can't tune in on it. It's too far away. It's too abstract.
Yeah. And we just had a comment from Drone Worship. Dan, his name, is short for Droning About NorthWest.
It is, yeah.
Let's put Russ's mic back up. There we go. You there, brother?
Yeah.
Did you know you were? Did you know you were a Dan?
I am Dan W. In fact, I actually write that on all. Let's see, where's my? I write that on all my drones. Actually, I write the DANW.
Just let me interrupt for a minute. Just have a look at this beautiful, beautiful path through the trees here. That is some good flying.
Yes, it is.
That is really dark and awesome.
Yeah. Man, that's some pretty picture. That's just a really sharp picture.
Well, we're getting close to the end of the show, and just as we get ready to go, any last-minute questions for the Oracle? Put them in the chat room right now, and we'll see if we can answer a few of those before the end of the show.
If a car is coming straight at me, Lloyd, and I have to jump left or right, which side do I choose to avoid it?
Either.
Wrong answer. Up.
Wait a minute. Car's coming straight at you.
Do I jump left or right?
Right.
And the answer is neither. You jump up.
Oh, yeah.
Got him. Oh,
yeah,
that was
you got
beautiful.
me on that one. Yeah. I knew there was, that's why I hesitated on the answer, and that's why I went with neither, because I knew there had to be another answer, because I knew it was a trick question. It's just, I'm old, I'm an old Oracle,
We've got one from Drone Worship. Yes, you're an old Oracle, but you've seen The Matrix, haven't you?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, so how did Agent Smith take over The Matrix from Machine World? Please tell me, Oracle. Question from Dan.
Oh, my God. You know how long it's been since I've seen that movie? Let me think. I don't know. I can't tell you.
Okay. You're going to have to keep that one stored up for next time.
Yes. Oh, and don't forget my show on Monday nights at 7:00. And
Absolutely.
Mitch, old guy in a drone, will be my guest. He's going to be my guest co-host, because Mel will probably not make it Monday night if he lives that long. His new job is wearing him out.
We've got one from Ben Cartwright, and this will be our last question of the day. If a car is traveling at the speed of light and you turn your lights on, does it do anything?
Yes, it makes it go faster.
answer, if your car is traveling forwards at the speed of light, your front lights are not going to do anything, but you can turn on the back lights.
That's right.
Okay.
That's all you'll see.
Yeah, absolutely.
Steve Carpenter just says I'm an old fart. You're right.
Yeah. It's been fun. I've enjoyed it today. Sorry that we didn't get the audio to our guests in some of the videos we were playing. Hopefully that'll be fixed up next time. But other than that, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye for now. See you later.
Good night, everybody. We'll see you, Greg.
Russ. Bye.
Bye, guys.